you've been a rock star through the 70s, which was the heyday of sex, drugs, and rock and roll and all that stuff. And how did you come through unscathed?
I did not come through it unscathed. I was extremely hurt by it. I look back on it now, and you know, I thought as I was going through the 70s and cocaine was introduced into everybody's life, and told that it was recreational and that it was not dangerous. On the other side of that, we were also told, don't ever do heroin, because if you do it once, you'll have to do it every day, because you'll never feel that good again, and you'll be chasing that high for the rest of your life. And so I said, well, oh, that's not for me. But cocaine, we were all told, was cool. That's why we all did it. Of course, then we all got extremely addicted to it. And because really, it's just speed. And it really doesn't do a thing for you. I mean, it just makes you speedy and unpleasant and unattractive. But I didn't know it then, you know. I thought, I would have said to you, on a Bible, it's not hurting my voice. It was totally hurting my voice. I mean, the stories have already been everywhere about my nose. You know, I have a huge hole in my nose, which is affecting me now. You know, and it affects my voice now.
What is the hole in your nose from?
From snorting cocaine, because it's like Ajax. It just ate right through my nose. So you know, but of course you don't care because you're really addicted. And then I checked myself into Betty Ford.
What was there? Was there like one event that you went? This is.
I went to a plastic surgeon in January of 1985 when Rock a Little came out, and I had a big tour planned that was going to go through October. And it was already booked, and you know, when they book that tour, it's booked, tickets were on sale, I was going. And I went to I didn't go to an ENT, I went to a plastic surgeon and said, so check out my nose and tell me what you think. And he said, he looked at my nose and he said, well, I think that the next time you do a hit of cocaine, you could drop dead, or you could have a brain aneurysm. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't stop doing coke on the road because I'm so addicted. But what I will do is I will do as little as possible, and I will, the second this tour is over, if I live through it, I will go straight to Betty Ford. And that's what I did. I went straight to Betty Ford 1 week before Halloween, checked myself in with my wild hair and, you know, mink coat and silver shoes and huge suitcase, and went in for 30 days, and it was hard. It was tough. But, you know, I walked out. I can remember walking through and having somebody say, you look better, and I'm going, you know, like, I'm getting better every day. And I would go in my little bathroom, you know, in my little room with my little roommate, and I'd look at myself in the mirror and I'd go, I'm dying. It's a good thing I'm here because I'm dying. And when I left there, I turned around and...
You just felt terrible and...
I just knew I was dying. Then something worse happened to me. Then I went to a psychiatrist because I didn't want to go to Alcoholics Anonymous because I knew I wasn't an alcoholic when I came out of Betty Ford, and my whole world was like, well, you need to like at least go see somebody, you know, to get some therapy or something after you've done this 30 days at Betty Ford. And I'm like, listen, I'm fine. And I was fine. And so I went to the psychiatrist who put me on Klonopin, which is basically Valium, and just kept upping my dose for 8 years, which was worse than the 10 years of coke. Because on the Klonopin, I actually nearly died a couple of times because you're so tranquilized that, you know, you take you could OD on aspirin because you don't remember taking the last 5 that you took.
What's that do to your creativity and your music?
It destroys it. So for that 8 years, I lost that 8 years. I didn't write, and I had gained so much weight from the Decadron and from being on a tranquilizer 5 times a day.
The Decadron is what you take?
Steroid.
The steroid you take for your singing.
And the doctors are so willing to give that to you. It's like, hey, let's have some Decadron. You know, you'll be fine. You can sing the concert, no problem.
There's a lot of, people should know there's a lot of money involved with concerts, and if you can't sing, you have to give the money back. So there's a lot of pressure for you to sing, no matter what.
Yeah. So you have a Decadron shot. Seems an easy fix. And then you go on and you sing okay. So anyway, one day when I woke up and said, you know, well, and you'll never walk on stage again in a long black dress and look really beautiful and thunder. And I was just sick, you know. I was sick about it. I just thought, and not to mention I'm not writing songs or going anywhere. So I called up my friend and said, come and get me and take me to a hospital right now. I went to Daniel Freeman, and I stayed there for 47 days to detox from Klonopin. It was awful, and I did think I was going to die. And I think the people at Daniel Freeman thought I was going to die a couple of times, too. And, but I worked really hard, and
And you're here today in a black dress, and you look great. You've got a new DVD that you did in Chicago. I think is the same place that we did the Christmas special.
Right. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm as proud of this show as I have been of anything I've ever done.
It looks great.
It's really a great rock and roll show. And I wanted to do this because the music business is in such dire straits. I wanted to have this great rock concert on film for, you know, all the little wannabe rock stars that hopefully will come after us, you know, and be able to, you know, they can't stand on the side of the stage and watch Janis Joplin, but they can watch my DVD and see what I think that real rock and roll is, and how much fun it is, and how glamorous it is, and all the fun things about it that we love. I think it's there.
From Steve, I know I've been to Walter Reed. We've been to Walter Reed, and to visit. That's the military hospital. For people who don't know, that the military hospital where the troops are taken if they come back from combat. Can you tell us what is it you do when you go to Walter Reed? What do you do for them, and what do they do for you?
Well, I try to go every couple months. If I lived in Washington, D.C., I'd go every week. I take them iPods that are filled with all my crazy collections that I've been making since 1978. So I put all my road tapes on there, and then I put, you know, I put some really other good music because I figured that when I first went that, you know, they needed music. And they couldn't just go out and bring in a bunch of CDs and, you know, speakers and stuff, and they're there for a long time. Right. So I go in and I basically say, can I sit on your bed? And I do, and I sit there and we talk about the iPod and we talk about music, and then basically I say to them, so what happened? Right. And then they tell me their story. And you know, how they lost both legs, or how they lost their arm, or how their, you know, spleen was shot out, or, you know, I mean, for God's sake, how the most horrific injuries. But, you know, they have an amazing attitude, and I just fall in love with them. I spent 11 hours and 45 minutes at Walter Reed. They let me actually go into ICU. I get to see people that are 3 days from the battlefield. Yeah. And I get to go in and give them their iPod and hold their hand and you know, shower them with as much love and gratitude as I can. And I'm very good at it. And it's the only thing that I do when I walk through the doors of Walter Reed or Bethesda. I'm not in a hurry. It's the only time I am not in a rush. I don't care if I'm there all night. And they let me stay all night if necessary. And I think sometimes I wish that the higher-up people would go and spend 11 hours and 45 minutes with these kids, because they might learn a lot more about what's really going on, because these children are so brilliant, and they really have a good take on what is going on. And I would never tell you anything that they said, and they know that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I have unlimited information about what's going on in this war, but nobody will ever get it from me because I am their confidant.
I am somebody who will talk about you, though, and I want to add something to your story that I think is a cool thing, and that I never see it in the press. I never see it done for that, and I've only heard it because I know people that you work with, and I love the fact that I said, well, when I heard the story, we'd been to Walter Reed, and I'd go around with a guitar and sing, and they said, well, Stevie's going around and she's bringing him these, you know, iPods. I said, that's fantastic. Did she get some, you know, corporate sponsor to bring all those iPods? Because they said, no, Stevie said, go down and get me 400 iPods or whatever. And I said, it shows tremendous heart, and it's a very Elvis-like move.
It's a mom and pop thing.
It was very sweet.
I never wanted to ask for iPods, so I just buy them.
Classy. Steve, we got something, and we have so much in common. But this is one, Red River Valley, the song, What's It Mean to You? It's a good one.
It's just one of the first songs I can remember. My granddad, his name was Aaron Jess, and so we called him AJ. It was one of the first songs that I remember that AJ played for me. And he loved it. And I got it immediately, you know, and I was always a harmony singer, so we were just singing away. And it's one of those songs that just sort of lived in my heart. And when it was reinstated in my heart was I watched that Prairie Home Companion movie. And when they all, you know, Lindsay Lohan and Meryl Streep and all the, you know, all those people in it, and they all were, you know, doing the story of that radio show, which was also a live show, except it was going out on the radio too. And I thought, this is so great, this song. We need, you know, we should sing this song.